Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another short episode of Digital Grocer called In Between Two Beards. Now, we have a great subject for you today, and it's going to be on Publicis Groupe acquiring CitrusAd. And joining me to talk about this subject is my co-host, Mark Fairhurst.
Oh, look at the special effects.
It's great. I love it.
My goodness. Oh my goodness.
I feel now that the team at Lucas are going to want to come after us. I just for that graceful slide in that you just did is amazing.
I might have a career after this. Instead of being unemployed.
Right. Yeah. This is great. So listen, Mark, the big news that just happened this past week was the announcement that CitrusAd has been acquired by Publicis Groupe, and more specifically the Epsilon Group, which is it's the data branch of Publicis, where they really deal with what is called offline consumer data.
And for those of you who don't know, so in our day jobs at Mercatus, so CitrusAd is a very strong partner of ours, and their bread and butter has been enabling retail media at the point of conversion on retailers' websites, and that's what we offer and provide to Mercatus clients.
Yeah, for us, it's been a tremendous partnership. It's CitrusAd, when we originally met Brad, their CEO, directly out of Australia, very small team starting out. He's got tons of experience in e-commerce. He decided to kind of branch out into this new space. We brought this to our retailers, and for us, the benefit is we don't have to run a sales team. We don't have to be necessarily entirely versed in this domain, although we do have some expertise internally that work with Brad's team, and it's been just an amazing partnership. We're seeing performance that is far outpacing what a CPG can get on Google,
absolutely,
and actually also in some social networks. So this acquisition is going to be interesting. Now, and it kind of reminds me years ago where, my web grocer at the time, its bread and butter really was digital advertising, and there were no players in the space back then. And then we had Criteo kind of show up. Now, Criteo, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, they're partnered with, I think their biggest retailer is Kroger.
I believe so, yes.
And so, lo and behold, CitrusAd shows up. I mean, there's Hy-Vee, Giant Eagle. There is Smart and Final. There's the team at Weiss.
Yeah.
They recently closed Target. Mm-hmm. And then in the UK, they also closed Tesco.
And most recently GoPuff,
which is huge. So it completely makes sense that the Publicis Groupe brings CitrusAd into the Epsilon fold. And if you start to marry online advertising data, offline, it's just going to open up the whole programmatic world.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like a CPG ad marketer's targeting dream.
For sure. But now this is where it gets kind of interesting. So if you're a retailer, what are the choices that you have out there? You have Criteo.
Yep.
But I'm not sure how big their network is because we don't hear about it in our circles. You have CitrusAd, which the network is now it's going to be worldwide.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you have everyone's arch nemesis, Instacart's network.
Yeah.
Where retailers don't know what's happening with the data, don't get to see a dime from that network, and to a certain extent, it's to their detriment.
Yeah, and you also add into the mix the Quotients and the Inmars of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Quotient. We've integrated that solution into our platform. We have it enabled with, I think, 2 of our retailers so far. We have more experience working with the Inmar technology on the couponing side and enabling it for one of our Canadian retailers. And I think most of our US-based retailers. We don't necessarily play outside of the couponing technology that they offer our current retailers. But it'll be interesting to see where this kind of ends up, this space here, in terms of the CPGs as well in terms of the retail technology.
Yeah.
It's kind of exciting.
So you made a comment. So it's, Instacart's role in building $1 billion or objective in building $1 billion ad business. What do you think this acquisition does to their ambitions?
I think so. It's a couple things, right? Because when you say that, there's two things come to mind. One is on the technology side, and then the other one is very much on their desire to branch out of grocery.
Right.
Groceries, in a past podcast that we did with the vice president of North America for Ocado, I mean, he said grocery is a game of volume.
Yeah.
And so on, and so we've looking at the Citrus technology, it's well automated. Mm-hmm. We get that from consuming their API. We get that from seeing their online system that CPGs use that we have access to for reporting and analytics. I'm not sure how sophisticated that is on the Instacart side. So I think for them there may be some catch up, because don't forget that ad business for Instacart equally grew fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Citrus now has been in its early stages fundamentally about grocery. And there was a recent article that was published, and I can't remember the name, and maybe you can look it up while I'm chatting, Mark, so we can share the name. The beauty about partnering with the team at Publicis, it will give CitrusAd's technology a toehold in opening itself up to other platforms, mm-hmm. other consumer-facing technologies, which call it like the ability to put their advertising on other websites and so on. Yeah. And so they will quickly and rapidly break out of grocery. Yeah. And so that's number two. So if you're Instacart and suddenly you have that partnership beating you to the finish line, that's not great from a revenue perspective and wanting to generate even more additional buzz around your IPO.
Yeah, I found the article. It's on Ad Exchanger. We'll put it in the show notes, mm-hmm. By James Hersher, and he interviewed David Haas, who's the CRO at Citrus, and they make that very point.
Yeah, I think this is if I'm in San Francisco right now, sitting in the boardroom with the team at Instacart, I'm at this point, I'm equally thinking, what large agencies would I go partner with that would give me reach, right? So the draft FCBs of the world, and so on, that would give them access. But Publicis was, when Mercatus started, we sat in the office of Draft Toronto, one of their agencies, Siegel Communications, because we didn't have an office mm-hmm. in downtown Toronto. So we got to see what it's like interacting with CPGs and listening to that world. And Publicis was always discussed as being very clear that this is not just about the creative aspect of the agency world and all those other great things. This is about how do you bring data to help make decisions and support your CPG clients. And I think this is where you're going to see that with that, again, further ahead with that marriage. And I'd be quaking if I was at Instacart.
Well, and it's in the article. I mean, it makes a very valid point that this marriage will unlock more revenue for retailers. And that's, I think, a critical difference between the two grocery advertising models.
Yeah.
One accrues to Instacart, and the other one is beneficial to the retailer.
Sure. Well, look at it this way. So let's as an example, if you take Fox.com or CNN.com, right? We know that they do some form of advertising, and let's pretend you're Safeway. Safeway has invested quite heavily on its private label brand, and they decide to buy advertising on the CitrusAd network. Well, so what's to say that your product doesn't end up being advertised on CNN.com or on Fox.com or some other prominent websites or other vehicles that are suddenly made available through that new relationship? I think it's great.
Yeah, we're exciting and looking forward to see what comes in the future. That brings us to the end of this episode of Between Two Beards. I'm going to make my exit slowly. Till next time.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in, and don't forget to keep your ear to the ground and to next episode that drops of Between Two Beards, or a longer form version of our podcast. Take care.
We've got more great episodes on digitalgrocer.com, and we'd love to connect with you on social media at Digital Grocer on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and at digital_grocer on Twitter. Like, subscribe, and click that bell icon so you never miss another Digital Grocer podcast.